Hi, welcome to the Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm here to help you to heal your anxiety naturally. I want to welcome you to a new episode today where we be talking about how not to be afraid of the future. Because a lot of us, when we have anxiety, and people in general, besides people not having an anxiety disorder, people in general, they are afraid of the future. And what happens automatically is that when we think about the future, we think about something negative happening, something bad happening. And when we look at the past, we're like, oh, the good old times. I miss those days. How good were those days? It's amazing. I really wish I can going back to those days where everything was just fine. So how is it that whenever we go through life and we are afraid of the future, but whenever we are in the current present moment that already passed the future, we look back and we're like, wow, I missed the good old days. So how is it that we can look towards the future and be happy and not anxious and be more hopeful in a way of the situation being in a more positive way? So whenever we're thinking about the future, and that can be from, let's say, for example, when you have an anxiety disorder and we need to go and do something, or we are afraid that we're going to have a panic attack, or we're going to have an anxiety attack, or that we might feel certain symptoms, and we are afraid of experiencing that, and we don't want to, so we right away go into a negative mindset and already determine, and we already anticipate that something bad is going to happen. So for example, let's say somebody wants to go to the mall, or they like to drive. They want to go for a drive, or they need to go somewhere. They're right away thinking when they're going to the mall, oh, I'm going to experience a panic attack, or maybe something bad is going to happen over there. Maybe whenever I'm driving, I might get into a car accident, or that the wheel might fall off, or so many different thoughts that pop up negatively. I don't want it to expand to give you guys ideas, but we can already go to the negative side so easily that we believe that that's what's going to happen to us, and we get afraid. And what we do is that we avoid those situations. We avoid the mall. We avoid going to drive, or we avoid going to wherever we want to go in order to feel safe and to feel calm and to feel good at the end of the day. That's what we want to do. We want to feel good at the end of the day. So what needs to be done over here in order for us to overcome this struggle that we're always afraid of the future, of thinking that we're not going to be successful or that something bad is going to happen? What we need to do is change the perspective of how we see things. So instead of thinking about it negatively, we can think about it more in a positive way and saying that, okay, what if I don't experience a panic attack? And what if I actually do enjoy? Or what if I actually get to the place safely? That's a possibility, right? There is definitely a possibility, and there is millions and millions of people a day, billions throughout the entire world that drive and nothing happens to them. But we're looking at that small percentage of something bad happening, and we're amplifying that as it being reality, as it being that's the way it's going to be. So when we're going to the mall, instead of saying to ourselves, oh, I'm going to get a panic attack, that's what's going to happen because I'm afraid of the mall, what we could do is say more in a way of like, what if I go to the mall and actually enjoy it over there and actually have a good time and nothing bad is going to happen and I'm going to be fine? We want to change the narrative, the thought process that's in our mind, because the thought process, it's what creates anxiety. It's what creates for us to trigger the fight and fight mode. That's what it does. But whenever we change the thought process, we have the ability, we have the control to shut off the fight and fight mode. We have the control, not the anxiety. The anxiety does not have control over us. We do. We need to tell that to ourselves. We have the control. We are capable. We are able to stop our anxiety, to think differently. And it all starts by a thought process. And whenever we are trying to break the cycle, because our cycle is our default right now, we need to be conscious and change that cycle into something else. We need to change the direction and break that cycle that we currently in into something else so that we can overcome and stop our anxiety and take back the control. Because again, we are capable, we are able, we must take back control of our lives. And I am here to tell you that somebody that went through an anxiety disorder, you are capable, you are able, and that you must take back control of your life through your thought process. Start with that. The smallest thing. Take the smallest thing and change the perspective from a negative to a positive. It might take you 30 minutes. It might take you 40 minutes. It might take you even an hour to figure out what the positivity of the situation is. But it is definitely worth it to try to change the perspective. Because again, at the end of the day, we want to ask ourselves, what is harder to deal with? What is harder to live with? With anxiety or overcoming our anxiety? We need to choose and say, you know what? It's hard to overcome my anxiety, but I am going to be able to do it because I am capable. I am able. I am an anxiety warrior. That's what it is. You are an anxiety warrior. That where you're going to get to is that you're going to win the war. You might lose some battles, but you will win the war. We need to integrate that into our mind so that we can take back control of our lives. So what we could do over here is change the negative, change the scarcity that we have of the future, that we're just terrified every time we think about the future of something bad happening. And it can come from experiencing a panic attack that we're afraid of, or that in the future that we might not become successful, or that we're going to live like this for the rest of our lives, or that I might not get what I want. And we are afraid of that, and we try to live our lives according to the survival mode and not actually thriving and actually going after what we want because we are afraid of A, B, and C. We are afraid of failing. We are afraid that we might get rejected. We are afraid of the unknown because we don't know what's going to happen over there. But we have what we do know, what we can do. What do we do have? What we do have is the control in our thought process, because what we're thinking right now about the future of how it might not go well, or that we might fail, or we might get rejected, or we might not get what we want, or we might be in the same place that we currently are. We're not going to be able to overcome our anxiety. But one thing that we do know for sure is that we can change that narrative and change it more to the positive and saying to yourself, I am not going to fail. I am going to succeed over here. I might have some down times, but at the end, my goal is to succeed, and that's where I will get to. You might say, I might get rejected from this person or from this job. We need to change the narrative and say, you know what, maybe this job wasn't for us, or maybe this person wasn't for us, or maybe the situation wasn't for us. Maybe something else is going to be better that's going to come along. So again, we have the power, we have the control in how we're going to see the future and how we're going to feel about the future. Because again, think about it with the past. We always look at the past. We're like, wow, the good old days. I miss those days. We're like that. And why is that? Because our narrative of the future wasn't as bad as it actually was. Our narrative, our thought process of what the future is going to bring wasn't as bad. It's our mind that's creating this reality, and we have the control. We have the ability to change that reality within us so that we can look at the future just like we look at the past and feel good about it. If you guys did like this episode, please click the like button and leave me a 5-star review. The reason why I asked this is because we can reach more people, because my mission in life, my mission is to help people to overcome their anxiety naturally. That's what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to provide, because I am somebody that went through anxiety disorders, multiple anxiety disorders, and depression, and overcame it naturally, and I want to help you guys as well. Take care, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.